a strategy from Trump world, telling reporters after hearing yesterday that the Tates are facing a witch hunt, that the cases against them in Romania and the UK are essentially a kind of fabrication. Brothers also remain apparently well connected in some right-wing circles. In fact, just days before their arrest in Miami, the British tabloid The Daily Mail reported the Tates were spotted around Washington, D.C. as guests of a Trump friend, associate, the special envoy Paolo Zampoli. The Tates even apparently took a photo, you see there, with Texas Republican Congressman Wesley Hunt. Both the Daily Mail and MS Now reached out to Hunt's office, and we have not heard back. Megan Twohey's investigative reporter for the New York Times, where she's extensively covered the Tate brothers, and she joins me now. The legal trail here is complicated because it involves multiple jurisdictions. There were cases being sort of pursued in the UK and in Romania. But walk us through what happened, what development happened in the UK's possible prosecution to prompt the arrest and the attempt of an extradition.
Yeah. So this week really was a significant turning point with regards to the Tates and the legal investigations of them. Up until Saturday, up until this weekend, they had been under criminal investigation in Romania. And there had been several charges of rape and human trafficking authorized by British prosecutors. But there had been this agreement that the prosecutors, that the British prosecutors wouldn't move forward until the Romanians were done with their investigation, with their criminal case. And then the brothers would be extradited from Romania to the UK. Now, what clearly has happened in recent weeks is that the British prosecutors have charged them with new crimes, alleged crimes. They're now, they had previously charged them with rape and assault and human trafficking, and now they've brought additional charges of rape, sex trafficking, and significantly those seemingly pornography, including a child pornography charge. And with those new charges, they have issued an extradition request to the United States because the Trumps have, since they were released from Romania, been traveling around the world. They resumed their their jet-setting lifestyle. They've been in Dubai, they've been in Turkey, and they've been returning to the United States. Notably, they have not gone back to the UK. And so an extradition request came in from the UK to the United States, to the Justice Department, saying, we're authorizing these new charges, and we would like you guys to issue a warrant for their arrest and extradite them back to the UK. And the federal officials here in the United States complied. So since their arrest on Saturday that you've seen images of, they have been in federal detention in Miami, and federal prosecutors have been basically arguing the case for extradition in court there. And the Tates are fighting that. Their lawyers are continuing to say this is all just politically motivated and that they're completely innocent of any crimes.
A little context here that I feel like is important for folks that don't know. I mean, Andrew Tate particularly developed an enormous following online, particularly with young men. Obviously, connections to people in Trump's orbit. They became a kind of cause célèbre of conservatives. I just saw a video today of the late Charlie Kirk talking about how people should listen to what Andrew Tate says about an overly feminized society. And also, I mean, this is sort of key context, like the whole thing that they marketed, and in some ways would charge people for, was to learn how to develop tools of psychological manipulation and coercion so as to get women to do sex work for you that you could make money off, essentially, right? I mean, that was a huge part of what their whole public profile was.
Yes, it was. I mean, what was sort of interesting and remarkable about them is that they basically created a business and helped gain followers of young men by bragging about the fact that they had operated an online porn business and by saying that they had actually exploited women and coerced them into participating in that porn business and that they would take most of the profits. They sold online courses to that extent, saying, there was one course that was called the Pimping Hose degree, where they said, listen, we're going to teach you the kind of tricks of the trade that we've used to exploit women and make money off of them. And so that really really kind of wove that into their public image as they gained followers, not just for these online courses, but just a broader online following of young men who were attracted not just to their kind of financial savvy and their brazen masculinity and misogyny, but to some of the broader messages that they were bringing about the need for like men to kind of regain their place in society and to push women down. And as they did this, they made these very sort of strategic, mutually beneficial alliances into the American right, even as criminal allegations of trafficking and rape multiplied against them, both in Romania and in the UK. We also learned that they had been under investigation here in the United States by anti-trafficking agents, as well as prosecutors in the Justice Department. But in spite of this, their messaging and the way that they connected with particularly a young male demographic that became crucial to Trump's return to power, they were able to make strategic alliances with people in the Trump family, from Don Jr. to Barron Trump. We were able to show was communicating with Andrew Tate by Zoom as recently as 2024 when the presidential race was going on. They talked about the criminal case against them in Romania at the time and how they both agreed that it wasn't substantial or wasn't legitimate. The Tates have also made alliances with Trump advisors from, Richard Grenell, who you mentioned, who was the special diplomatic envoy who discussed the Tates once Trump was after he was reelected and then, entered his second administration. Grenell had conversations he wasn't just sort of publicly supporting the Tates, he was also having conversations with Romanian political figures about their case. And so it was, and they also had these, formed these alliances with people like Tucker Carlson.
And I'm very close to the Trump family. I know them well, and I spoke to Barron after the incident, and I look forward to, once I am free, being with Donald Trump in person and reminding him that he's a bulletproof badass.
This is the attorney for President Trump, somebody who has been a fighter for the America First Party. Her name is Alina Habba, and she joins us live right now.
Hi.
Hello, Alina.
Hi.
Hello.
Nice to meet you. I'm a big fan.
Well, nice
Big
to meet
fan.
you.
Formal charges against Andrew Tate include rape, human trafficking
of minors, sexual intercourse with a minor.
Hit her if you have to. I don't care. Don't let her take her things. Thanks. Okay.
You're right. Those are among the text messages that the prosecutors have gathered. I mean, we've been pouring through hundreds of pages of court records from Romania in which they've gathered together and spelled out what they say is a long pattern of this behavior with a variety of women.
There are other criminal charges in England, am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. So in Britain, prosecutors have authorized charges. They're not just under investigation. They've authorized charges of trafficking and rape against both brothers there. And those are charges that they'll have to face when the Romania case is complete. They'll have to go to Britain and face those there. And we also realized, one of the things we discovered in the course of our reporting, I worked on this with my colleague, Isabella Quai, and what we found was that here in the United States since 2022, anti-trafficking agents at the Department of Homeland Security, as well as federal prosecutors here in New York, the ones who eventually won a conviction of Sean Combs, have been investigating the Tate brothers.
We should also note that almost immediately upon return, a girlfriend of Andrew Tate's accused him of assault and rape. He denies those charges. She has now sued him. He has countersued her for defamation.
Right.
So that happened immediately after it came back. Now, everyone, I think, has a picture of these individuals at this point. They were in Romania. It's very clear from your reporting, even though the Trump administration has tried very hard to run away from it and deny it, and Romanian officials have tried to deny it, that there was some pressure put by the Trump administration to get these guys back to the U.S.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, what we found was that their release from Romania was really the culmination of years-long efforts by Andrew Tate in particular to forge very strategic alliances with prominent figures on the American right, media figures like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, people in the Trump family, first Don Jr. and then Barron, and then eventually some of his supporters who were very public with their support and defense of him and their criticism of the Romanian criminal case, ascended into the Trump administration.
Alina Habba has talked about him. Richard Grenell, who has a kind of freelance portfolio and in fact admits that he discussed the case with a Romanian official.
Right. So, right, exactly. Paul Ingrassia, who actually served on the Trump's legal team, he ascends into the administration as well. And so after this new administration comes in, Richard Grenell, in particular, we found, had discussions with at least 2 Romanian officials about the Tate's case. One at Mar-a-Lago in December of 2024, the second in February at an international conference in Munich. And what we also found was that within days of that second conversation, an order from the highest levels of the Romanian government came down to the prosecutors in the criminal case saying, you got to strike a compromise with the Tate brothers. And they did not.
They were unhappy.
They were outraged, but they did follow through with ultimately lifting their travel bans, which the Romanian prime minister believed was going to appease the Trump administration.
It's really a shocking set of events and incredibly scrupulous reporting about all this. And people should check it out at the New York Times, where you can read some of these texts and you can read more about some of the allegations against Andrew Tate and his brother, which the men deny.
So, folks, it really looks like the Trump family is jettisoning the Tate brothers, and understandably so, right? Because the connections they have make them look very bad. Now, I think it needs to be said clearly, I want to make this clear, that while Barron seems to have some kind of cordial relationship with Tate, at least by Tate's own admission, I've shown you there, right? That they were in communication. And the Trump family may have been one of the reasons why they were initially allowed to come back to the United States. I am not accusing anybody of the Trump family of being directly related with any of the accused, the alleged actions by the Tate brothers and any other people in this case. But it does seem like politically and optically they understand. It's like, okay, these guys are major creepazoids. They were rampaging all over Europe. It was taking way too long, but they were facing some process of justice in Romania. Trump gets reelected. They're allegedly in contact with Trump's family, including one of his sons. Then they come back to the United States, continue to act like nut jobs, and continue to show no remorse for what they may or may not have done. And then bam, again, now they're arrested and facing potential extradition to the United Kingdom. And during some of this process, before they were coming in, they allegedly had contact with Barron and maybe other members of the Trump family. And I think it's very clear that Trump's like, to protect the family, he's going to jettison these guys. And Barron's probably like, Daddy, I don't want to go down for this. And I'm not suggesting he's going to go down criminally for it, but optically it doesn't look good. So the least they can do is just throw them to the wolves. The Trump family isn't even always loyal to itself. We've seen this. But they're more loyal to each other than they are to random losers